joining our Enterprise Resource Planning Best Practice Series webinar. I'm Becky Melody, your hostess for today's presentation. Jim Kerr, UsDM Senior Director, Life Sciences Delivery, will be presenting. The discussion today will cover introductions, webinar logistics, direction for post-webinar collaboration, and our discussion topic, HP's Application Lifecycle Management, an invaluable tool for validating your ERP systems. We're proud to have Jim on our team. He is North American Chairperson of Oracle Applications User Group and UPK and Technology Adoption Special Interest Group. He's an industry speaker on ERP computer validation for Part 11 and assessment of ERP. 9-time speaker at Oracle Application User Group, Collaborate, and Oracle Open World. Jim is a recognized industry speaker in areas valuable to life science organizations, including ERP program management, implementation of Oracle e-business suite, testing of GXP systems, electronic production records, organization learning management, technology adoption and change management, pedigree and serialization, and validating ERP systems. UsDM is focused exclusively on the life science domain. We're the market leader in providing IT, quality and regulatory compliance professional service solutions. We're headquartered in Ventura, California, and we're the only West Coast VMware partner with VMware qualification expertise, having been trained by experts in the industry. We're proud to be a compliance partner for many best-of-breed vendors, including OpenText, Oracle, and SAP. We've delivered more than 1,000 successful projects with over 130 life science clients, and we're the preferred compliance partner for small, mid-tier, and large life science companies. We specialize in assisting clients with reducing regulatory risk while maximizing their investment in quality systems, ECM, laboratory instrument and systems, as well as IT infrastructure. Our directive is to simplify, unify, and optimize compliance and business objectives. The content will be covered in approximately 30 minutes, and then we'll invite you to post questions for our team via the iLink message board on the lower left of your screen. We'll address the questions immediately after the session, or if you do have something of a confidential nature, we're happy to address them via email or a telecon at your preference. We also have a discussion you can join on LinkedIn and post questions there. Thanks again for joining us, and now I'll turn the presentation over to Jim.
All right, thanks very much, Becky. Good afternoon or good morning to some of you. I'm going to first start off with just providing a little background. And let's start by talking about the path to what we like to call achieving least cost compliance. So if you're familiar with the concept of computer validation and of the guidance contained in GANT 5, validating GXP computer systems, then you probably know that the following major activities and documentation are required when implementing a GXP system in a regulated life sciences organization. There's what's called a validation planning activity and subsequent documents related to that. There's a quality plan, project management plans, but the real meat of it is what's here in the middle of this list, which are often referred to as system or software development lifecycle. There's user requirements, the development of those and the management of those. There's also design specifications, which is really documenting how a system was configured and built. There's risk assessments and how those are managed. There's test scripts. There's executing those test scripts. There's managing incidents. There's also training documentation. So there's, I think most people who are familiar know that no matter what you're doing, no matter what system you're validating, these are the things that you have to get through. But of course, we all know by now, certainly, we all need to try to do more with less. And this, when you're talking about large ERP systems, we're talking about the likes of Oracle or SAP, J.D. Edwards, and those kinds of offerings. They are being implemented faster than really ever before. I mean, their technology is changing, and but the expectations to validate them are still the same. So that's why a tool like what we're going to talk about today, which is of course HP's application lifecycle management, I think we have found that many of our customers have found it just invaluable in whether they're doing a new implementation or an upgrade of certainly larger systems. There's certainly a lot of tools that are out there, and there's lots of areas of opportunity to help streamline things. And these typically, this list here, typically are the activities that people are really looking to streamline. And the tool that we're going to talk about today, Quality Center, it's also known as, what's now more recently known as Application Lifecycle Management, really can help in all of these areas, and some of them, more significantly than others. And so that's what we're going to focus in on here today. But before we get into what I would call the features and some of the functions that it can do, what always needs to be considered, probably the number one reason, or the most important value that you get, is adoption. There's lots of tools out there, and there's lots of, and they look really great in demonstrations, but if they can't be adopted, or they might be difficult to understand, maybe difficult to use, their features might be great. And I think one of the easiest examples of that a lot of folks talk about is the difference between an iPhone and an Android. Android may have lots and lots of features, and they may talk about those features, but I think the reason why a lot of folks use iPhones is usability and adoption. And the same thing will apply here. So here is an overview of some of the major features that HP's application lifecycle management does, and how it can help in a validation of a large ERP system. But maybe just a little background here first. The product has gone through some name changes in recent years, especially as different versions have come out. So in their most recent version, which is version 11, it's now called Application Lifecycle Management, or ALM. Formerly, in previous versions, many folks know it or knew it as Quality Center. So we're really talking about the same thing here, with some different and new features that are available in version 11. So the major components of it where it really helps validation is the first and foremost requirements management. Also the ability to capture risk assessments and even do pretty robust analysis of the outputs of those risk assessments. So depending on whether it's a high risk item, a medium risk, or a low risk item. It also has an ability to very easily link, maintain, and produce a traceability matrix, instead of having to wrestle with the old Excel spreadsheet, which if anybody has been down that road before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of the other things that I think a lot of folks may not realize in the beginning, but they realize it as soon as they start to use a tool like ALM, is its project management capability. It has a very robust set of charts and graphs and collaboration features, is what I call it, to help the organization figure out where they are. And when you're talking about these larger implementations, lots of people involved, lots of departments, multiple parties involved, months of work, that can really be very, very important and very valuable. Now, it's also something, and this is very important, that it's designed to be very, very scalable to be used across your entire enterprise. So it's not just something that you would use, say, on your large ERP system, but there's benefits everywhere. So no matter how small or large the system, I've seen people do not only use it for computer validation activities, but also equipment validation activities, process validation activities. So there's a lot of uses beyond just using it for ERP systems. Now, if you're in a regulated environment like life sciences, then there is an additional component that's now that's available, and it's called the eApprove add-in, and it's developed and maintained through a partnership through a third party named Genilogix. They were the original creators and developers of this, and what it essentially does, it essentially adds the additional capability that's needed for the tool to be compliant with 21 CFR Part 11. So it adds electronic record creation ability, electronic signatures, audit trail, version control ability, and of course what that does, because it now has those capabilities, is that it allows for almost a completely paperless validation in many, many areas. So requirements and specifications can become paperless. So not only the development of the specifications themselves, managing them back and forth, and the approvals can all be now done online. Same thing with risk assessments. The same can go for the entire test script creation, modification, and back and forth, and the approvals of those. So when I was talking about the pre-approval of a test script before execution, and that falls along with the actual execution themselves. So though this eliminates the need to have to print out paper test scripts, and it eliminates the need for the testers to have to complete those paper test scripts manually. They now can do all of this electronically, and then it would include the post-approval approvals, typically required by not only quality assurance, but sometimes also a business representative or even an IT representative. It also has very robust incident management capability, which is called the defects module. It's also a place where you can track, report, and approve with electronic records and signature capability your incident and deviation management process as part of the implementation. And that it can also be a significant time saver. So here's a little bit more about Genilogix. They are a premier partner, and they're a reseller of Hewlett-Packard. So they work with Hewlett-Packard whenever companies and organizations are interested in the application lifecycle management product. And it's currently implemented in over 75 different life sciences organizations, and from small, medium, and even large big pharmas or large medical device companies. So it's a very proven solution, and it's been available for the past several releases now. And because of its prevalence, there's a lot of field research, if you will. There's a lot of very positive use cases out there. And so what UsDM and Genilogix provide is a solution, a package solution, that is designed specifically for life sciences. So part of it is a very cost-effective qualification while you're implementing the tool for your organization. There are processes and approval workflows that are already built that you can take advantage of, and many companies are able to take advantage of those really right out of the box. There's a GAMP-based risk analysis that's built in, and there is a configuration that is really used and proven to be successful in many life sciences organizations. And so that's something that you can take advantage of. And of course, it has the ERES and the audit trail capability that we've talked about already. And overall, as a result, what we find is really anywhere between 4 and 6 weeks, where not only is the implementation done, but in a validated way, so that it's now something that you can use to validate your systems at your organization. So it's a little bit more about the features within HP Application Lifecycle Management. Here, requirements management, and requirements is one of the 4 core modules of Application Lifecycle Management. So here, not only can you create your requirements in the tool, but you can also import them. You can very easily import them from Excel, from Microsoft Word. There is even a capability to import process models. So especially if you're using an industry standard like BPMN. There is also a capability to do rich text formatting, or in other words, in more of a Microsoft Word type of format. And that's very valuable, especially if you want to add additional information about a requirement or a specification. That all can now be developed and built right in the tool. You can also perform your risk analysis of your requirements or your functions right in the requirements module as well. And you can, as part of the configuration and the solution that we deliver, it's a GAMP ready. So if you are an organization that adheres to the risk management capability or the definitions as they're laid out in GAMP, then this is going to work for you. There's also built-in workflow or approvals of those requirements. There's also a very strong coverage capability. So you have the ability to not only link requirements and specifications together, but then link them to the test cases that will cover them. And that becomes then the foundation for the traceability matrix. I mentioned earlier that there's very, very powerful and very easy to use dashboards and different graphs that you can create, so you can always in real time track the progress of the requirements management process. And yes, because of the fact that it is Part 11 capable, you can even use the tool to really significantly help streamline your need to generate any specification documentation that you need to produce. Now, from a test management standpoint, and here we're talking about planning how you're going to test what you're implementing, as well as actually writing the test scripts themselves. So you can use the results of the risk assessment that you did to help scope your testing. I mentioned again, this is where sometimes process flows come into play, and you can import those in. So your process flows may be able to help you determine, at that higher or maybe even lower levels, the flow of the transactions that you're testing. You can also convert test cases from a requirement. This can also be a very nice time saver. So especially if it's a situation though where a particular requirement can be covered and tested more on a one-to-one basis. This is a very quick and easy way to be able to not only create the test case, but then it automatically does the linking as well. Now, when it comes time to actually write the scripts themselves, really 3 ways you can do that. You can have them, you may have them already written in Excel or in Microsoft Word, and there's a very easy to use import tool where you can import those into Quality Center. You can also use a recording tool, and there are some of them out there. One of the ones that I see a lot in the ERP world is Oracle UPK. UPK has a capability to, as one of its outputs, generate a Quality Center ready test script that can then be very easily imported into Quality Center. So if you're someone who uses that tool, there's a nice little connection there. Or, and as many companies do, you can use their easy-to-use forms to just type in and create the test script yourself, right directly into the tool. So there's a variety of ways to get your test scripts written. Then, of course, you have to manage them. And similarly to requirements, there's full version control. You can also place scripts under status control for approvals. And there are built-in approval workflows where all this entire process can then be made paperless. And then there's the execution. And this can often represent some of the most significant savings of them all. Again, not having to print out paper copies, and also if it can be done electronically, especially for the larger systems, there's typically testers involved from different departments, even different locations. And of course, if that is the case, managing paper can be difficult, just from a logistics perspective alone. So there's that part of it in and of itself. You also, of course, as a typical GMP requirement, the ability to capture evidence that you tested and verified that particular function. The Quality Center provides a very quick and easy to use little snapshot tool for a tester to be able to capture that. Instead of having to take a screenshot or screen print, save that file to a directory somewhere, print it out, and then attach it to your paper test script. So this is a big time saver as well. You can also capture and then link defects all online. So as a tester is testing, they can capture a screenshot of an error message, for example, log a defect, and then all online in real time send that over to the person it needs to be assigned to, or to a defect manager per se. And then there's a very powerful resolution process that occurs after. And as with the other capabilities, there are some very nice dashboard and graphs, different reports that you can use, all to track and manage the progress of not only a single test cycle, but of course you can use this over multiple test cycles. And then there's some of the documentation itself. I mentioned at the outset what some of the required documents are, and here is where a Quality Center or Application Lifecycle Management can really help. So it can essentially be used as templates to create some of the following. I've seen people capture and develop their user requirement specifications all within the tool. Same thing with any kind of functional specification or design specification. The risk assessments, the traceability matrix, all of your testing activities, all of your defects and deviations. And so what you're talking about here is a pretty significant chunk of the entire validation package, really the entire SDLC process. I mean, I want to say entire, but certainly most of it can all be captured, executed in a, certainly more efficient, but most importantly, in a paperless way. I've mentioned this a few times, certainly. And again, it's one of those areas that people probably don't discover until they're actually using the tool, but really an invaluable project management tool. So, and a lot of that is because it's very easy to use, and the real-time transparency that's created, the visibility that's created, and those things always have a way of improving accountability. So it's very powerful to be able to provide inputs into any kind of status reports you might be producing. These can be very easily put into things like PowerPoint presentations, and you can also build, and again, pretty easy to do, different KPIs and dashboards, and even through some of its capability, even produce Gantt charts if you want to be able to see, how long or where a test cycle, how long a test cycle might take. And again, as I also mentioned at the outset, but one of the probably most important aspect of any tool is that it has to be well adopted. If it's not well adopted, it ends up like last year's Christmas toys, as they say. They're shiny and new in the beginning, but after a few months, they no longer get played with. And that's really important in a tool like this one. So what we know from our customers and the many customers that use a tool like this, especially those that use it in life sciences, is that it's a tool that really should be owned and used by the users and by quality or the business. IT is certainly involved with it, certainly. What we have found is because it's easy to use, the users and especially quality really adopt it really very well. And that's when you really can realize the value. So that's about 30 minutes, and that's really all I wanted to present for today. I'm going to turn it back over to Becky and see if anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Jim. Really appreciate that. That's great information there. As Jim said, we will open the floor to questions, and while you're typing those in, I'd like to share that the session has been recorded and will be available on our website. I'd encourage you to visit the USDM website, which is, of course, usdatamanagement.com, and you can review the upcoming webinar events as well as previously recorded sessions. We have quite a few topics there across the various practices. As we mentioned, we do cover IT, ECM, laboratory, manufacturing, etc. Please do take a look there. Okay, it looks like our first question in is from Ruth. And she's asking, what version of Quality Center is needed to run eApprove?
Okay, that's a good question. Well, eApprove has actually been available for quite some time now. So it certainly goes all the way back and can be used back to now version 9 that's supported. So if you're up to date on your maintenance, version 9, version 10, or version 11. It was also available for version 8, but I'm not sure if version 8 is still currently even supported by HP. So, and that's a good 4 releases ago. So, yeah, it's definitely something you can even use on prior releases.
Terrific. Okay, looks like the next question is from Matt, asking, what is the difference between Quality Center and Application Lifecycle Management? Well, there are some differences. It's a different name. That's certainly because, again, they really are the same product, just kind of being rebranded. But in terms of the core capabilities, so we're talking about requirements, the test management, the execution, the defects,
really the heart and soul of it. That's primarily hasn't changed much. I mean, some small features here and there, but where the version 11 or the application lifecycle management has added is a lot better dashboard and graphing and report capability. It also has a much stronger ability to manage or get views into multiple projects at once. It's more of that sort of high-level dashboard view, and it also allows for a lot more built-in integration to a lot of other tools that are out there, be it other applications, even things like Visual Source Set, for example. That's just one example, but there's a lot more built-in APIs, if you will, for a lot of the more commonly used tools that are out there.
Thank you, Jim. George has a question. Yes, the answer is the full recording will be available on the website. We typically get it posted within 3 to 4 hours following the session, so look for that after a while. Thank you, George. Jim, the next question is from Thomas. He's asking, is there ability for ALM to interface or export to eDoc system like Documentum?
There is. I mean, there are folks out there that have done it. Whether it is a supported pre-built API, you'd have to check with HP on that one. That one I'm not. Again, there's a list of them, and you'd have to check to see if your particular application is on that list.
Fair enough. Okay, next question is from Carlos. The version can work in a cloud environment, or I guess, can the version work in a cloud environment?
Yes, there is. There is a SaaS model that is part of this, and eApprove can even be part of that too. So yes, you can do a local installation, a hosted installation, or more of a SaaS model.
Very good, very good. It looks like the other questions are coming in. They're coming in with notes of appreciation. Thank you to those of you taking time to let us know that you did appreciate this. And, looks like we have one more question here. Oh, it's also another thank you. Sorry about that. We do want to wrap up the session. It looks like that's the end of the Q&A here. We do want to, again, invite you to join our discussion. There's a forum on LinkedIn, and we would welcome your insight and feedback there, as well as suggestions for future topics. If you liked the webinar today, please show us that by clicking the like button on our UsDM LinkedIn group. There's a page there, or even better, post a comment. Very quick process for you. Should just take a few seconds, but it would mean the world to us because in 2012, this is going to be an important indicator that our management team is reviewing, and they're looking at that as a basis for whether or not to continue to fund the complimentary webinar series and getting that good information out there. Jim, thank you so much for presenting today, and thanks to all of you for taking the time to join us. On behalf of the U.S. Data Management Team, we appreciate the opportunity to team with you towards excellence and compliance. Thanks again. Have a wonderful day.